want to sing a song in Esan and I will tell you the meaning. Amuigosan no sen oihwa o. Abaki molen no sen kwa budo. Amuigosan no sen oihwa o. Abaki molen no sen kwa budo. Amuigosan no sen oihwa o. Abaki molen no sen kwa budo. Amuigosan no sen oihwa o. Abaki molen no sen kwa budo. The song says, if one takes the worship or devotion to God the right way, it's as light as a feather. But if it's done the wrong way, it's as heavy as a rock. And we go say, if you take the worship or the service of God the right way, it is light. It is not grievous. But if you take it the wrong way, it is as heavy as a rock. And why do our people say that? I went to school and we had our instruction in English after the primary school. So at ACC in Irua, we had all our instructions in English, which was the language of the colonizers. And I remember in Form 1 we read literature by Charles Dickens, we read R.L. Stevenson, and we read a number of literature that was considered English literature. And we never had a class that taught us the Esan folk tales. We never told stories in vernacular. In fact, at that time, to speak your language was considered unacceptable. I'll come to that at some point. So this internal colonialization, I will encounter it much later. And I used to remember the grill we were taken through if you did not speak English in a very technical way, if your grammar wasn't right, and people, laughed at those who came from the hinterland and who were not very good at pronouncing some of the English words. Just like English people can't pronounce my name. Agbokaibolo is my name, and there is no way an American, English or European can ever say it. They can't pronounce my wife's name, Beyibomi. They always try to call her Pei. And this issue will come to head later on when I got to England. In 1990, I went to England after becoming a medical doctor, and I joined my fiancée then, and we got married. And as we lived in Birmingham, I noticed that the English people I interacted with broke every rule of grammar, especially the ones who were working class. And I said, hang on, how come I have to correct people like Collins and the others about the use of their language? Hey, that wasn't what struck me. What struck me was that here I was, very proficient in the language of another person, and I could not say the same about my language, Esan, the language of proverbs, the language of riddles, the language of dark saying, the language of seasoned conversation. Here I am in Birmingham, in England, encountering Englishmen who couldn't speak their language. How? The shame I felt, I cannot describe it to you. Uhomo najeme o le dade yo yo. Uhomo najele. Oh, there's no way to convey to you the inward pain I felt. So, from that day, I first went to the library, the public library in Birmingham, borrowed books about Nigeria, about Africa, just anything. And at my first opportunity, I bought cassettes, I bought videos, I bought things that were Esan. I remembered that in ACC Irua, just a town from Irua in Egu in Idungele, lived the greatest storyteller the world had ever seen. I'm talking of Chief Umobari Igberaise with his Afan group. This man was a custodian of wisdom. This man was one who understood the human emotions and life and internal working. He told stories about sibling rivalries that I have not seen Sigmund Freud even rival. And I said, so we lived in ACC 1 hour away from Ewo, or even 30 minutes, and we never had this man come to the school on an annual basis to talk to us about our language, our songs. We didn't even have a department that taught Esan. We didn't have Esan written literature. So from that day, I started to gather materials. And I started getting music from people like Alice, Yasonogo, Genete, Babonelimi. And as I listened to them, I started to pick the wisdom of my people. Things I listened to, things that I was very familiar with. And all of it came to me. Having read the foundation of psychopathology, psychology, and all of that, I discovered that my people, my Esan people, oh my goodness. There's a saying that what has been written in Esan is what has been written all over the world. And you know what saved me from my shame, at least to redeem some measure of pride, was that I did not have a predominant European name. Everybody calls me Aloja. I was so grateful that I did not have a name like John Bull. I was so glad. People ask me, what's your name? Aloja. And I will make them pronounce it well. Everyone has a right to be proud of his or her own culture. I don't quarrel with that. But I want to have the pride of place when it comes to my own culture. And people will ask me, when we had our first child in Birmingham, we named her Ebolutalese, Ebosetalese. And they will ask me, is that a Christian name? I said, the name means what God says is what comes to pass, which is actually lifted from Isaiah chapter 46. Is there anything more Christian than that? Or biblical than that? So I'll ask them, so what's your name? They say, Jacob. I say, what's the meaning of Jacob? I don't know. Well, Jacob means one who supplants, one who's a heel grabber, almost like a trickster. Is that a righteous name? Oh, so I didn't know that. And I'll ask them, so your name is Violet. What is it? How biblical is that? Your name is Stuart. Where is that in the Bible? What kind of name was that? And so I was very, again, fortunate to have been married to my wife, whose name is Kweibomi Sulola, no English name. Well, her father, if you know her, that's another story. We will get there. We'll get there another time. We'll get there. Had named all of them with no reference to names like Margaret and the rest. I have no quarrels with those names. Those names belong to the people who come from those cultures. That's your name. It's good. But Aloja? No, I named my daughter Oseze Hio. We named our son Oseo, but God is the king. And we named the youngest Yolore Imaduk Joseph. And those names make me feel, I feel when I'm walking, I'm tall. People ask me, what are the names? What are their names? What do the names mean? And I tell them, I give them a lecture. And I've been invited to many places to talk about this culture that we once looked down upon. We took it for granted. Well, they always say that, one takes for granted the mouse rat, the house rat, the rat that is always in the house. You take it for granted. But we're in a global world now where, like the lizard with a red neck, that has no racial connotation. That's what it's called in West Africa. It was said to once jump all the way from the top of a tree down, and he was not hurt. And looked around and found that nobody was applauding it, and it started to nod and applaud itself. So yes, that's why I beat my chest, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for the Esan language that I have, which I've gone back to learn. I've learned the proverbs, Oh my goodness, there are some songs sometimes when I'm singing them, I say there's no English equivalent. I'll give you an example. This is a song we sing in the church, which is that, which I was singing at the beginning, that if you take the service of God in the right way, it is not heavy. But if you do it the wrong way, it is very, very, it's like a rock on your neck. So that is what sent me looking for aspects of my culture that allow me to know that whatever has been written in Esan is the same thing written all over the world. These were my people who used to have names like Unware Talo. One can only speak or communicate with the mouth. The mouth is the organ of communication. Or things like this. One cannot walk alone. If as a boya, I did not come with a body fitted for suffering. Those are wonderful names. Those are wonderful names. Osarewo, Idemudian, Osemudiaime. So when I look at all of this, I'm glad, I'm great. You know, it makes me walk among other people, acknowledging their giftedness, but also acknowledging the gift that God has given me as an Esan person. I'm here to contribute my own to the world. So I am very grateful. There's a song that I'm going to sing to the end now, and it's just, it's translated this way. We, the Esan people, we have come out, and we are on a triumphal procession to the capital of our state, which is Edo. We have triumphed, so that the result of this present march or strife is irrelevant to the outcome of the war. We have already won it. Ibo ken samu pogbe, imalagbele malagbe okeke redo e. Ibo samale mu pogbe, imalagbele mabagbe okeke redo e. May it go well with all of you.